All right, Brian, we'll do this video in stages here for you on how to remove the valve. So the first thing, as you can see, we'll open up the case, and now Matt is going to go through removing the valve.
Okay, first you want to remove all the tubing. Actually, we suggest before you start this, take a picture of how the tubing is situated for both sides. That way, when it's being reassembled, you make sure all the tubing goes back correctly. Okay. Okay, now we got all the tubing off. There's one plug here for the micro switch that we have to take off. That can be a little tricky to get your fingers into.
Okay.
And now you can unscrew the two screws for the brackets that hold it onto the case. Take it out all the way. Hold on, let's see.
All right, so now the screws are out, and
we're also going to have to unplug it from the main PCB. And it is the bottom plug here.
you'll be able to see the close-up diagram of it in the preventative maintenance manual that I sent you earlier, Brian.
And then you can just remove
Just taking off the wrapping there that keeps all those cords together and organized. And there's the valve. And then we'll move next to... All right, now the valve's out. Matt's going to show how to disassemble the valve.
And at this step too, I would also probably take a picture. That way you can see which way the ports from the valve are facing as it, as it is to the mounting bracket. So what you do is you push down, and then you can grab this little pin here with a pair of pliers, and then now you can take each piece off individually. And as you can see, there's chambers inside, and that's the most important part. So if this is placed the wrong way as it's being reassembled, the air won't flow properly to each chamber, and you could have issues with inflation in the mattress. So when your guys are doing this, what they're gonna do is they're gonna put grease to these spots here, try not to get into the holes, and then around this perimeter here.
Clean it first, then grease, right?
Clean it and then grease it. But each section will come off, and then there's a spring in the center. So again, you would put a little grease on the bottom side, and then as well as this side here. And then same with this one. Some on the bottom here, and then some around this area here.
Okay, that's the disassembly and cleanup. Okay, Brian, here's Matt, and he is going to talk about reassembling the valve after it's been greased and cleaned. That's what the white substance you see on there is, the lithium grease.
All right, so when you're putting the bottom piece on, you'll see that there's a pin that goes through the shaft there, and you want to make sure that you find the slot on the bottom piece, and it'll just line right in, and that's how you assemble the first part. The next part will be this section here with the little PCB, and that's just going to go right on top like that. And then the spring is next, and then this is the next section. You want to make sure you line up the ports here to the one below it, like that. And then the last piece here is the top, and you'll see that there's the slot here for the pin. So what you'll do is you'll put it on and push it down, and then you'll grab the pin and just put it right through the slot. Just like that.
So that's the reassembly of the valve. Okay, Brian, the final piece, Matt is going to go ahead and reinstall the valve inside the unit.
All right, you'll see that the mounting brackets, I put them both on. You see there's little slots in there, and they'll line up to the sides of the turning valve here. So that goes on that side, and the same for this side. And then we'll just put it back into its slot on the rear case. It can be a little tricky to keep those brackets in place. If they fall out, it's not a big deal. You can always put them back on after you set it in. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and screw it back in.
Okay, Brian, Matt has attached the valve, or screwed in the valve. Now he's going to go ahead and reattach all of the hosing.
Yep. And so you'll see all of the 3 tubes on this side of the air outlet plate will be the top tubes. And then the tubes on this side are the bottom. So we'll go ahead and put the bottom in first. And you can see that the lower one here goes all the way to this end. And you want to make sure that it gets on there pretty good. And then the middle tube will go middle, and then this tube here. And then now we'll put the ones on the top. And then on this side, we've got the sensor tube on the bottom.
The sensor tube being the one that goes to the PCB.
That goes to the PCB sensor. And then we have the compressor, the air from the compressor tube that goes on this side.
That's the one that has the valve in it.
And then this tube,
which is the solenoid tube?
Yep, this one leads to the solenoid.
It's good with your hand.
And then we will plug back into the PCB. And then we can tie those up.
And then you'll use the wrap to tie those up. Okay, after he went ahead and wrapped up the cords that are going there to the PCB, and then plugged in.
And then the last piece here is the plug that goes into the micro switch that starts and stops the turning valve.
Okay, and the other thing to do would be to reset the
button on the timer.
the service timer, which is that button right there.
Just press it in and it'll reset.
Press and reset, and you're good to go. If there's any questions, Brian, don't hesitate to give either Matt or I a call. Thanks.